I got to be honest with you guys, I am a terrible tourist. I'm from London and I didn't even see Buckingham Palace until I was like 23 and a friend came to visit. But for the last 12 years, I've been living abroad and I've lived in over 5 different countries and I've absolutely loved it. And none of that would have been possible if I wasn't an English teacher. So if you've just passed your TEFL and you're thinking about working abroad, this is the video for you. But if you haven't got a TEFL, which will teach you how to become a teacher, then check out the link below and see my recommended courses. Now, to be fair, when I started teaching, I did have a huge advantage. Being from the UK, I had the entire EU at my disposal. That's a little bit different now, but to be honest, you could use these methods for absolutely any country, even Taiwan, for example. So the first thing I would recommend you do is think about the country and decide, is it the right place for you? Now, I don't necessarily mean do you like the culture, the food, things like that, although of course that is important. I mean you, as a teacher, are you able to live and work there without too much trouble? So make sure that you check the visa conditions for the passport that you hold. So there are countries out there, Taiwan being one of them, where you can't actually get a working visa without some form of sponsorship from a school. So you need to check out things like that and know the facts. There are also some countries which won't allow you to teach unless you've got a university degree. And that's even in private language schools. We're not even talking about secondary schools here. This is a bit of a bummer because you don't necessarily need a degree to actually teach English. And I would always recommend that you stay above the law because there are some of those schools that will overlook that, but you don't want to get caught out in some sort of police raid, which does happen. The other thing I recommend you do is to do some research into the average pay you can expect in the country or city where you plan to work, but also look into the working conditions too. The best way to do this is to jump on a Facebook group for that particular country and to ask people, you know, what's it like working there? How demanding are schools? What am I going to have to do? The other thing I recommend you do before actually applying for a job is to check things like the average cost of living. And there are some great websites out there which will give you a breakdown of how much it costs to live in a particular city or country. Then you can compare that to the average salary and work out, you know, exactly how many hours will I need each week in order to have a lifestyle that I want. Now, in my experience, having this background information is really, really important. When I was working in Europe, which I spent most of my career working in places like France and Belgium, I was very familiar with the going rate. So I felt very confident negotiating the salary and all those sort of things. When I came to Taiwan, I didn't really know all that information. So when I was asked that dreaded question in the interview room, how much are you expecting to get paid? I kind of threw out a number, and for months and months I thought I'd been cheated, but actually I was doing pretty well. So the next thing you're doing is actually looking for a job. And there are plenty of websites out there, but you can also look in the same Facebook groups as before to find job offers. Now, before you apply to the jobs, do a little bit of research on the schools. Again, ask around. What's the reputation of the school? But sometimes you will find that some of the bigger language schools don't have a great reputation. That is the case here in Taiwan, but sometimes you just need to get your foot in the door and then move on to bigger and better things. So in addition to sending off your application or your CV or your resume, whatever, I always recommend give the school a phone call. Talk to someone in person, make a contact. Making that connection is really important, especially if you don't have a lot of experience, because it's going to help you stand out from all the other applications for the job. I actually did this when I decided I wanted to move to Italy. I literally just sat down there and researched schools and gave them a call, explained what I wanted to do, that I wanted to move over to Italy, and could I send my CV? And it worked. I got a job, and within a couple of weeks of making that decision, I was in Italy teaching. The other thing you want to do before you jump on the plane is to actually find out what the kind of benefits or perks you get with the school. What I mean by that is many schools might actually pay for your ticket to come out to the school. They might actually give you some sort of stipend or accommodation allowance actually to set you up in the place for a certain amount of time. That same job that I had in Italy, they actually paid for our accommodation, even though our monthly salary is a little bit lower perhaps, and that really took the stress off having to find a brand new place to live when I didn't really speak Italian at the time. The other important thing is to be aware of how many hours you're going to have to work and how long those hours are going to last. One thing I've noticed over the years is when I join a school, they kind of really pile on the hours to keep me happy. And then after a year, you kind of get less and less hours. So if that's the case, then you've got to be sure that you can go and work for other schools at the same time in order to keep your hours up. If there's something in the contract that says you can't compete, that could be a problem down the road. And before you jump on a plane across the world to teach and to start your journey as an English teacher abroad, do make sure that you save up an emergency fund. So this should be enough money that if all things go badly, you can make it home. There's nothing worse than being stuck somewhere and not be able to escape because you don't have enough money. So hopefully those tips will help you land your perfect job, because it really is great working abroad. If you've enjoyed this video, don't forget, give me a like and catch me for another video soon. See you later.